Hello, welcome to another Take Schmoedown reaction. We're not reacting, we're reactors. Talking about the Schmoedown. Uh, Best entrance we've ever done, ever. Yep, so today we've got a great panel to talk about some great matches. Well, just one great match because we don't actually know when the second match is going to drop sometime soon, hopefully. But yeah, it's in the ether. But we do have one great match and some interesting news items to talk about. So yeah, let's get right into it. We got Malcolm Lay. How's it going, Malcolm?
It's going pretty good. Just happy to be here and happy to talk about the one match and Harloff release the other match quickly.
I agree, 100%. I need that other match to happen as soon as possible. We also have Doug, not Paul. How's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. A little run ragged, but yeah. I'm excited to talk about Schmoedown. Yeah.
I like how your voice got higher as you talked. That is a sure excitement. Also joining us for just a tiny bit is our own Abe Flores. How's it going?
Kristen, I came here just to plug myself.
Oh, well, you're here for that. So how are you and where can we find you?
I'm doing great. I'm leaving in 7 minutes.
Well, I just plug yourself now so that you can just make a graceful
I don't want followers.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about the Schmoedown now. We got a lot of great things to go over, as I said. First and foremost, we had a great match between Liz Shannon Miller and Ben Bateman. I mean, you talk about a pretty even match. This thing, up until Liz's interesting decision in round 2, looked like it was going to be just a really even-keeled match. Both of them were tied at the end of round 1, but they both kind of had the strengths and weaknesses that the other person didn't have. Ben losing on the animated question in round 1, and Liz missed out on something. It was a second question asked. I just don't remember which one it was. But yeah, it was an interesting match, definitely. I wish that Liz had picked a different round 2, just because I think that would have made it a little more interesting at the end of the day. But it is what it is. We'll talk about it when we get there. I want to hear everyone's thoughts about this one before we deep dive. And I know there's some time issues here. So Abe, do you have anything you want to say about this before you leave?
Kristen, you can continue the show without me, but I will say I think this just gets to show that anyone can beat anyone. Liz, why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing.
You are.
I'm smiling. Now I'm laughing.
Okay, but this just gets to show that there's tough competition. Like Liz entered the league like at the beginning of the year, and now she's against Bateman. She had a run at the beginning, but I think she played a great game. Same as Bateman. I think Bateman is dangerous. He's gonna play Preston next. That was getting me excited. And I think Preston has been playing. It's probably the best. Other than Paul, he's probably the best rookie in singles this season. So pretty excited to see what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really I dig the way that she plays in terms of she's just there for the trivia. However, she does have some things that she said herself she's not so great about in terms of the strategy of the game. But yes, that is what it is. Doug, do you have anything you want to say about this match?
Actually, reiterate. Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. It was a super tight match. I mean, when you think about it, Ben was the person that pretty much a lot of people picked. But it doesn't show anything against Shannon's game with the score that she ended up with. I think they both played fairly decent. Almost getting the perfect round the first round. Not too many questions off, but being close the entire time, it's not bad. So I think both players probably didn't play their best game, but they played a pretty damn good game.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree with you on that in terms of maybe not their best game. Liz, I think, was on track for her best game. If round 2. It all boils down to round 2 because her round 3 wasn't that bad. She missed her 5-pointer, but it was a pretty hard 5-pointer. Yeah, that round 2, if she had picked a different category, she went with mixed bag. And she said that she's superstitious in her post-match interview, which is why she decided not to respin. And that's fine. I mean, sports in general is full of superstition and weird traditions and people not changing their underwear for games. I hope no one in the Schmoedown does that.
Have you done that when
No.
you played a sport?
No.
Thank God.
0%.
All the champions do it.
That's why I was never a champion. I smelled.
I've been using the same underwear for the summit the last year and a half.
That's disgusting. I did wear the same shirt for the summit for like half a week, but I washed it in between. That's why we aren't getting good ratings, is because I stopped wearing the shirt. No, our ratings are fine. I'm sorry for saying that. It's sad. No, I mean, if she had spun away from mixed bag, because mixed bag is such a risk. If you get good questions, like it started out and I thought maybe she'll get lucky and these questions are all going to fall in her wheelhouse, it can really pay off, but it is a mixed bag. So it's absolutely one of the biggest risks you can make in the Schmoedown for a second round. And if she had respun, I think maybe it would have been a little bit of a closer match, even more so than it was what we ended up with. Did you kind of think the same way about that respin in round 2, or the lack of respin in round 2, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, that also for me, it comes with inexperience. She's there for the trivia, but she needs to be there for the game. You have to understand the game. I've said this watching every player. You have to understand the game to play the game. The game's a part of it. So knowing that mixed bag is going to be everything, if you're not good at everything, get the hell away from it. Go down to 1-pointers if you have to. Make your way through it if you have to do mixed bag. Other than that, why are you doing it? It was just a silly mistake. It's a rookie mistake. Every rookie has had one. So we can't take that against her, but maybe hopefully she'll learn from this mistake, better her game, hone her craft, and be a really tough competitor. Because one thing I gotta say about, she was supposed to be the next Ethan Irwin. Ethan donned it on herself. So I think we give people curses. Let's stop giving people curses. Because we did it to Bibbs. Bibbs is going to be the next great player.
Hey, you know what? He ended up being.
He's now one of.
He's fantastic.
He's now one of the best players in the league. But he had to learn how to play the game. So that's my issue is you're a rookie. You don't understand the game. It's different for Chance. It's different for Paul. They played in the fan leagues. They understand some aspect of the game. So that's why,
Yeah, and I'll fight you a little bit on what you said. You have to be a good overall player. I'd say that Liz Shannon Miller has proved that she is a really good, balanced player. If you look at her round ones, she seems to know a lot about everything, or at least a little about a lot of things. Let me fix this because I hate close up view. No one needs to see that much of my face close up. I don't have any makeup on. I don't care. No one needs to see my pores. Yeah, I mean, I think that she is a really good overall player. Obviously, everyone's got a weakness. Even the people in like Inner Geekdom, who everyone's like, oh, they, poop gold. Like, there's no way they can lose. They have no weaknesses. Even they have weaknesses. They are just really good about hiding them. Liz, I don't think is at that point where she can kind of hide the weaknesses. But yeah, it's going to be difficult for her, I think, unless she invests more in the rules and the strategy of the game.
That's what I mean. I don't mean necessarily.
Yeah. But you mentioned that you have to be a good player overall, and I think she does have that broad knowledge. She did pretty well in multiple choice for a couple of them, and she got the first one right away. So, it's just mixed bag is such a a mixed bag, Malcolm, I know you have some thoughts about this match. Did any of them pertain to the round 2? And did you have any other thoughts that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I thought that both players played well, and it was one of those ones like maybe she picked mixed bag because the other categories on there is like I know some of them, like I don't know what one she put on the wheel, like for as to her strength, so we won't really know that, but it could just be that she looked at what was left on the wheel that wasn't picked. It's like, oh, take a chance for mixed bag. See what goes. Because I'm not really feeling the other categories, so it's like I think it's just a way that she would just want to take a chance and take a risk, and which in a tournament it's not a good idea because I mean, especially with what's at stake. But
Right. Yeah,
but
and
I mean, yeah.
I totally get what you're saying. I don't know that Liz is in it for the belt right now. I think she's I mean, if she won the belt, I'm sure she'd be thrilled, but I don't think she's like kind of there yet. She's still definitely figuring the game out in terms of how she's going to play it. I think next season, particularly, and I'm going to say this, I think that there are some players who need a manager, and she's one of them. Because if you're not going to be able to invest yourself in studying the game like Ben Bateman does, like Paul Oyama does, there's a reason that they're really good at the game. It's because they basically like study the game, right? Like they're huge fans of the gameplay, so they know how to strategize really well. If you're not going to be able to do that, you need someone in your corner who can. And I think Liz is definitely someone who needs that second voice. She needs a Dagnino coming out and being like, hey, what's your thoughts here? Mixed bag's really hard. I think you should spin again. Her saying in the end interview that she was really superstitious and that's why she didn't spin again. A manager would have talked her out of that. They would have been like, no, you need to spin again. This is a terrible category. No one does well at this category. I think that for her would be really beneficial. Is there anything else, or did you want to talk about that at all, or is there anything else you want to bring up about this one, Malcolm? Not Matt. I miss Matt.
Yeah, I don't know where Matt is. He's hiding in the corner somewhere.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Bateman was the one that put mixed bag on because, like, I really want to win. I'll put on mixed bag because I know that that's a really tough category. So it's like, I mean, I can do well anything that's on there. So it's like I'm not afraid of putting mixed bag on in the hopes that it doesn't backfire on me. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's an interesting thing, actually. If Ben had put mixed bag on himself, like if he had been like, I think I'll do well on this, but if she lands on it, it's like that's a nail in a coffin for most players if they get mixed bag. It's basically as bad as opponent's choice. That's an interesting strategy. Definitely. I think if you're really, really scared of someone and think you could do well at mixed bag, like I think that's an interesting strategy to have, Malcolm. You just gave some people some ideas if they're watching. Just like, but yeah, no, I didn't think about that one, but definitely I could see him doing something like that. But yeah, I mean, I just wish she had a better round 2. I don't know if that would have made a difference in terms of the end of the match, who won. But I think that it really could have, because they were playing so evenly. Even when you got to like round 3, it was pretty even down the line. And I wish that she had a better show, or a better turnout for this match, because this was her first, like one of her first really hard matches, right? A match against a seasoned player who's been around the block a lot, and it would have given her a lot of credit to have taken him to the wire. And I wish that would have happened. But at the same time, she played a really solid match. And I think it shows well on her rookie season that she, played well against someone like Ben Bateman. So yeah, unless anyone else has anything they want to say about the match itself, we can talk about some of those cutscenes. Anything else, guys?
No.
I think it was an okay match.
Perfect. It was a good round one of a tournament match. So we got some cutscenes to talk about. One of them's really important, and one of them is funny. Well, they're both kind of funny, but I actually wrote down in my notes, haha. So the first one must have been funny. That's all. I literally wrote what the thing is about, a couple little lines, and then haha. So something must have been funny in there. Yeah, it's Lon's new partner was the first cutscene. So we've got JTE mysteriously disappears. They can't contact him by telegraph. He's just missing. He's in the ether, and Lon just brings out this new guy. Is he really British? We don't know. The last guy who was British wasn't really British, so he could be another secret non-British person. But his name's potentially Simon. I couldn't understand what was saying. The name, I couldn't understand it. But I've been informed by my other two compatriots that it's Simon, so I hope that's right. He seems nice. It's hard to say about these new people because we don't know who they are. We don't know anything about them other than they're potentially British or faking it. So, yeah. What do you guys think about his new partner?
This is an interesting turn of events because I don't know where JT is, or maybe John locked him in a closet because he was sick of JT always talking down to John. Or it's like, I'll do something about that. But this has thrown a huge unknown into the teams tournament because when JTE got took out by the boot last year and John was brought on, the Harris brothers sort of ran through the table. So this could potentially be another one because if I remember because I'm pretty sure they're just going to keep where everyone is seated. So I think they're still up against the Paddington 2, was it?
I think so. I'd have to look. I really should have just like a list of every match that's happened in like the last 12 months, just like on my wall.
but yeah. So, because we don't know anything about Simon at all, so
thank you to our encyclopedia Garth McMurray, who tells us that Simon Thompson is actually British and he does movie reviews and interviews celebrities. So thank you, Schmoedown Encyclopedia Garth McMurray. That should be, if that's not your nickname, it should be. I feel like you know a lot about everything Schmoedown related, so I appreciate you. But thank you, because now I know who he is. I can go look him up, so I have more information on him, so we can make better predictions. But yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Doug? Any thoughts on this new team here?
I think we're gonna get a double dose of the professor. I think there's no saving us at all from the pretentiousness of them and critiquing our blockbuster movies with very foreign films and telling us all we need to get a better education of the film genre as a whole. No, I'm excited to see what they do. As Garth, our encyclopedia there has pointed out, he knows his stuff a little bit, it seems like. So it'll be fun to see what he actually knows and see if he's ready for the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm really interested in him. I think that the dynamic between them was really funny. I love when there's a team and it just like gels right away. And obviously I assume that they know each other beforehand. Like Lon actually brought him in because they seem like they had really good chemistry together. What do you think, Malcolm?
I've got an idea for your team name.
Yes, I was going to ask. Yeah.
The Pretentious Professors.
I like it. Yeah, I think that's great.
The double P.
I love alliteration in a team name, so I'm good for that. Any other ideas on team name? Because I'm actually scratching my head here on like a funny team name. I'm sure that they'll find something, but I couldn't really think of anything off the top of my head. What do you think, Doug?
That's pretty hard. It's hard to say if they're going to go super funny or if they're just going to be ironic funny.
Yeah.
and with Lon, it kind of feels like it's going to be an ironic funny because Lon is kind of definitely a little bit of his character, but in real life, but like he turns it up to like, there's like 11. Well, there's like a 22, and that's what Lon turns it up to when he becomes the professor. So I don't know. I honestly can't think of anything. I like Malcolm's name. Let's vote on that.
The only other thing I can think of is like something to do with like the scholars or something, like
Oh God.
get away from professor, because that's probably not going to be Simon's nickname, but keep it in the wheelhouse of academia, the academics. I don't know, something funny.
Call him the dean.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I'm bad. I'm not that funny. Secretly, maybe not so secretly to people who watch our content. I'm just here. Yeah, man, I threw myself off. That's how unfunny I am. That's terrible. I'm the worst. Yeah, I have no idea what their team name is going to be, but I do like their dynamic. I like the way that they were kind of like back talking John. I think that was hilarious. The entire dynamic between all three of them, I think, worked so well. I cannot wait to see them play. I think that it's just something special. Every once in a while, there's just a new team that the way that they interact with each other, I think, is really special. What I wrote down that I thought was really funny was John was like, you need a new name, something supreme, something with sour cream. And I was like, that's, to me, really funny. It just makes me want tacos. So that, I think that's what I laughed about. That was my haha.
I think my haha moment of that was, we don't need him anymore. Tell mom I said hi.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I did, and Simon said something like "best regards to your mother" or something. That was pretty funny. But yeah, we're gonna move on. I loved that cutscene. I love that team. I hope they do well. I can't wait to see them play. But we do have another cutscene to talk about, and it is Andrew Guy and Brandon Hanna talking about the nuke, which most people, I think, at this point know what it is. But we still can't talk about it because it's not live to the entire community, unfortunately, because I would like to talk about the nuke because it's really exciting and there's a lot of stuff that we can speculate with this thing. A lot of stuff that we can speculate.
It's gonna get bad.
But we have to wait. So next week we will speculate our hearts away about the nuke, about the total destruction it will bring upon the Schmoedown. But currently, we're just going to talk about this cutscene. So Andrew Guy and Brandon are talking about the nuke. Brandon basically says to Andrew that he needs to win a belt, and Andrew is just like, I've been trying to win a belt, and then he swears profusely, and then you just see the swear jar come into frame, and Emma's holding the swear jar and just smiling because she's getting all the money. It was hilarious. I laughed so hard. The swear jar thing is just really funny. I love the fact that she's just going to follow him around with it. It's fantastic. And it's actually because I think they've been trying this for a little while, but I think they're going to push it a little bit more for sponsor reasons because they're still trying to get sponsorships. That shows that swear a lot tend to have a harder time getting sponsors. So I think they're going to push it a little bit more. The PG-13 side of the Schmoedown. And so maybe that's, kind of playing into that, right? Following the worst offenders around with the swear jar to keep them from swearing on camera. We'll see. I think that for me is like the easiest way to explain the swear jar. But there could be just no explanation. I'm just reading into it too much. What do you guys think about this one? Doug, why don't you go first?
I enjoyed this a lot. I thought it was hilarious. And to go off of your idea, what if like the last person that she hits with a swear jar is somebody that we don't expect it, and somebody comes out with a Captain America line of language?
That'd be pretty funny. I love it.
I got that reference.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I feel bad. That's America's ass right there. For shame, me. That was the easiest quote I could have made. I completely missed it. Yeah, I love it. I think that's funny. I think that's a great idea. I love it. I hope that happens.
It's all yours for free.
We give you so many ideas, but you don't watch our show. So you'll never know.
What are you
And like
doing?
the Andrew Guy, I still think that Andrew Guy survivors group would have been super funny. But alas, it's too late now. Malcolm, what do you think about the cutscene?
I thought this was a fun cutscene. Was I didn't like when I saw it. I didn't know what to expect from it. And just the fact that Emma just happened to be sitting in the room with Andrew Guy and Brandon Hanna just holding it is like I just found it really hilarious. I laughed so much at it, and I just had to go back and watch it a few more times just to laugh some more times. But
Yeah, I agree.
but yeah, and this is definitely, and it's probably going to become a running joke because for the match we can't talk about yet because it's not live.
Correct.
But there was a moment in there where I think Mark made a callback to the same cutscene. But yeah,
Yeah, we're like I'm ignoring that all that stuff happened. Just like there's a
It
wall.
didn't happen yet, guys. It's
Yeah,
okay.
It hasn't. No one has seen it. No one has.
Malcolm, I think you just got a Mandela effect. I think that's all it is.
That's true.
You thought something happened and it didn't.
Mm-hmm. Garth in the chat has a funny idea I'd like to call out. He says that he wants a scene where Chandru and the kid walk out of the room and Emma walks out with a full swear jar saying, "Wow, the mouth on that kid."
I would love it.
Send that to Harloff. Direct.
Or if like the kid just started cursing and they use that, wow, the math on that kid, that'd be great.
I love it. It's hilarious. It's great. I love it.
There's so many uses of that.
But yeah, I liked this this cutscene. It doesn't really help you at all knowing what the nuke is about, other than knowing that they know what the nuke is. So I think that's really the only thing that this cutscene kind of alludes to, is that they're in the know about what the nuke is. So it's interesting. I like the idea of some people being included in there and them being excited about Harloff kind of, accepting the nuke, going with it, as they say. But yeah, so that's the cutscenes for that match. I liked them. I thought they were some of the best cutscenes they've had in a while. But that's just me. We did also have a new rule that was announced, and this wasn't in any of the Schmoedown videos. It was actually in SEN live stream last week. So what it is a competitor can only put a wheel slice on the wheel 2 times in a row. They can't do it 3 times. If they do it 2 times in a row, then the next match they cannot put it on the wheel again. So this basically the season we've seen a lot of players kind of slice hunting, which is just a coined term for the year. It's always happened, but it's definitely been a little more prevalent this year with certain teams always putting certain things on the wheel. That's going to stop that because, you have to start thinking ahead. If I win this match, what's my next match? And what's the potential match after that? When do you need to save the wheel slices for a really hard match, especially if you're in a tournament? If you're in a tournament, you don't want to put your wheel slice, your favorite wheel slice on the board right away, because then you don't have it down the road. Especially like, hey, you get to the finals and say you've had to use Bond twice in a row if you're Kalinowski. Now all of a sudden Bond's off your table. You can't use it anymore. Luckily, he's good at other categories, but if you go for that category and that's your sure thing, I know I will win if I hit this slice. You have to start strategizing about when you want to use your killer slice and when you want to use like a secondary. You got to have a couple in rotation. You got to start being a master of multiple slices, but it also encourages people to not have that slice that if they hit it, they're going to dominate no matter what. They have to start thinking a little harder. Hopefully it makes for some matches that are a little more interesting, and some more interesting behind the scenes strategy moments that can be kind of discussed and talked about. So sorry, drinking some beer. Had a little burp there. Lovely. Doug, what do you think about the announcement for this new rule?
I think this is going to change up a lot of people's strategy, and I don't think people are going to be too happy about it. But people weren't happy when things like this happen all the time, and then people get used to it, and then people stop whining about it. Well, guess what? Learn to stop whining earlier and just enjoy the game. Just tweak your strategy. If you know that you have an easier opponent, find a secondary hard-hitting one that you can do and go back and forth between them. Pick 3 categories that you want to be extremely well at, and rotate them in. That's how you avoid that. You literally pick 3 to 4 that you want to be specifically specialized in, and just rotate those in, and you'll never have to worry about it a day that you're playing in the game.
Well, and here's the other side of that, especially if you're in teams. It was discussed. The reason I think for this rule is because of the discussion, the slice hunter discussion that happened on the rundown, where we basically said, you have teams like Corruption that are putting, Bond and Animated on the wheel, or Pixar on the wheel every time, and knowing if they hit those, the game's over. And just the percentage chance of hitting, I went into percentages, my favorite thing in the world, of hitting a slice that you like increases, especially when you have slices that you're specialized in. This does create a little bit more, strategy, but teams is fun because you can still include one of them and then you just rotate it back and forth. If you think I'm really strong today, I feel mentally super great, I think we should go with my specialty. Then the other person takes a specialty next time. For teams, I think you're still going to have some of those, dynamics. You're still going to keep that because you're allowed to have 2 per match. Singles, I think, is where you're going to come into a lot of that, mental game. And I think it is an exciting thing to keep the game evolving. I love it. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Malcolm, what's your thoughts on the rule?
Also, I think the other thing, I like this rule because it does keep it fresh and for when you use. Because I think what a lot of people keep forgetting is if you keep using the same slice, the harder the questions are going to get. And especially if you're the opponent that gets it, like if they get stuck with all these ridiculously hard James Bond questions, like they've got no chance in hell dealing with it if they're not into that. So I mean, it does get to that point where it becomes a dick move as well, because you know that you've used it so many times and that the questions are bound to be harder. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also true. I mean, all of this is just really interesting in terms of speculating about next season and how this is all going to turn out. I think that there are so many ways that this is going to change the game, especially if someone uses their thing twice in a row and the next match they lose. Like that is going to be hilarious. Like not hilarious. I'm not mean, but it's going to create shock value moments. Like, man, what if they had been able to put this on the wheel? Would they have won this match? There's going to be a lot of that, I think, next season, or there's just going to be a lot of people with, like Doug said, 4 rotating specialties. I think the players that are more well-rounded are going to start shining through more than the players who, only have 1 or 2 things. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. We do want to talk about real quick if there are anything else we think is going to happen next season. Any new rules, any changes to the game, just speculation, purely speculation. We'll let Doug go first because he does have a timeline to keep today. So Doug, do you have anything you wanted to
I'm going to steal because I brought it in earlier. I think there should be more dogs in the Schmoedown. I think we should have a Leia corner or a puppy corner where they just have rotating in a puppy cam where you can just be like, I want to look at the puppies for the Schmoedown while I'm watching. I don't care about the players. I just want to watch the puppies. Do you know how many kids you could get into the Schmoedown without realizing it by just having puppies? Or even just grown-ups. Grown-ups love puppies. Christian, I'm giving you listen, it could be a Patreon exclusive. You could literally make it a $35 tier and boom, puppy cam. Yeah. And then just forward me maybe 3 or 4% for giving the idea. I'm telling you, man, it's perfect. I got tons of them, man. And another thing, if we can finally get a sound engineer, just saying, for the live events, because all the time, their mics have never had compression on them and a compressor, and it just peaks all the time. Guys, it's sound engineer. Just hire yourself a sound engineer. Or get somebody to volunteer. I will do it. I will talk Cody through it. I went through college. I promise you. It's not that hard. You just insert a compressor onto the microphones, and we don't have peaking. It's beautiful. Sorry, that's a rant.
I think it's just because the live events are really hard to mic to begin with. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. It's just a hard event to mic in general. But it has been getting better.
It has been, but it still peaks. And the simple way to do that, literally, is just to add a compressor onto Christian. You can do it right in the settings.
Why don't you send him a tweet?
Because my tweets will never get. I don't have enough followers to tweet a Christian. I don't use Twitter.
So many tweets. Just be like, hey, dude, here's a link to a cheap compressor that would fix your peaking
I would
issue.
fix your live sound engineering stuff. Look, and it's cheap. You got it, Christian.
I'm sure they know. These guys, like, this is their job, right? Like, I'm sure they know. And
they're video guys.
Actually, a reason why they don't have it on there, but yeah,
No.
I just ignore the sound issues mostly in the live matches now. I try not to let it bother me too much. But
I know, but as a person who went to college for it, it's like one of the most things that irks my nerves. It's like, it's just simple things.
Huh?
Listen, I look like Peter Griffin. You know what grinds my gears?
That was the joke here.
I know, but it's funny. It's funny. I like it. I'm a white guy and I'm overweight and I look like Peter Griffin. I need glasses. Where's glasses? I don't have glasses. I'm there you go. You know what grinds my gears? when people don't use compressors on live sounds and we get nothing but peaks. Peaks and no valleys.
No valleys. Perfect. Malcolm, do you have any speculations or potential changes that you would like to see? Or even some outlandish thing like Doug?
I think they'll have introduce a Makuga rule. To compete in the Schmoedown, you can only have 2 drink maximum. You can't have any more. You don't want to drink too much at Schmoedown, but
is that before the match or during the match?
Before the match.
So you're saying you can drink more during the match?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
No.
Yes. Feed into the dark side.
I'm sensing a loophole in your theory. Sorry, Malcolm. Continue.
But yeah, I mean, but seriously though, I can't figure anything that they sort of need to introduce. Because I mean, like the JT rule, you've got the challenges. So I mean, they should rename the challenges the Snyder rule, because he tends to use them so much.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think that, like, if they renamed some of the rules to be like after the competitors, like this new rule should be the Kalinowski rule, even though he's not the only one who uses it. He's kind of the one who made it famous. Like, same for JTE rule. Like, he's not the only one who did the JTE thing. It's just he did it so much that's why it's there. I think for me, the thing. Doug has to leave. Doug, do you want to do plugs? Or do you want to say anything to win real quick and then do your plugs? So I had it up and then I lost it.
What was it?
Sorry, let me pull it back up. Jeez, I had it and then for some reason I closed it. So next week is this week is Brandon Meyer, Stacey Howard, and then Paul Preston and Ben Bateman.
Okay, so Stacy versus Brendan. I don't care what anybody says. I still got the kid. Kid all the way. I haven't seen a match yet, and I love this kid. I want more of the kid in the league. I want more Shazam in the league. They make me happy. And Paul Preston and Ben Bateman. I have been winning this match, but I'm switching it up, and I want Paul to win because hashtag fuck cancer. And I want nothing but good things for that man. And his wife. If you haven't supported the little fundraiser going on, please do so. A bunch of us reactors got together to do a telethon type reaction tier thing. We called it the most ambitious. We said Avengers called their crossover the most ambitious, and we said hold my beer. We got together and it was great. Check out Bloody Manor this week. Because we're doing Scream. It's gonna be fun. Also get ready to check out Malcolm on a new episode, new series that's displaying on my channel, Filmatic Reviews. It's actually going to be changed soon, but we're starting a D&D campaign. So come check us out. We got a few people, and I've created a world, and I'm going to see how long they can last.
Perfect. Sounds like fun. If I had time, I would have taken you up on it, but I don't have time, so it's too bad. No D&D for me.
But you can always watch. You can always watch and support.
I will support you. Thanks for joining us, Doug. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good night, everybody. Later.
Awesome. Okay, so my prediction for next year isn't so much a prediction as it is me rehashing things that I've been saying for over a year, and it's that I think that Star Wars needs to not be a league. Christian hates this, by the way. He absolutely hates it. He loves the Star Wars League. He thinks it brings something important to the table. I don't disagree with you. However, there is just it's too hard to bring in new talent when the questions are already deep cuts. Like all of them are deep cuts now. Like there's nothing like top level until you get a new movie. So like in December, they can do an easy question about Rise of Skywalker. But until then, everything is deep cut. If they saved it for special events, have 2 a year, which is almost basically what they're doing now. It doesn't need to be a league. Just have it be a special event. Do 2 matches a year. You can still have the belt. The belt can pass on to whoever wins at the end of the year, but I don't think it needs to be a full division anymore. If they want to keep doing a specialty division, change it up. Every couple years, do a different one. I think a Marvel division, there are so many players who specialize in Marvel. Have a Marvel division. Let players like Coy, Jay Washington show that they can kill it, because these guys are in Inner Geekdom because they have so many gaps. But if it was just a Marvel only competition, like, man, I think they could do a really great job.
Or even Wizarding World, like there's a few players out there that are really good in Wizarding.
A Harry Potter League. I want a Harry Potter League so bad.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's more franchises out there other than Star Wars, Christian. So, I mean...
This is an intervention. You need help. No, I don't want Star Wars to disappear at all. I love it. I think it's a great league. I think it brings in amazing talent because you wouldn't have Star Wars Explained both Molly and Alex in the game at all if it wasn't for Star Wars. You wouldn't have Andrew Demolanta in Star Wars or in the Schmoedown without Star Wars. You wouldn't have basically Ken anymore. You wouldn't have all these things, right? All these great players who are bringing so much and bringing their following over without the Star Wars League. I'm just saying maybe it doesn't need to be its own league. Maybe it can just be a special match, one for Celebration when they have Celebration, and one to pass on the belt at the end of the year. Find a good, find 2 or 3 good players who think they can go up against the belt. And if they can take the belt away from the champion, like that's all you need. I mean, there's no buy-in. It's just the belt match. and just let that belt travel around. Let the person have it for a year. Let them show it off in every single video they have, because that's what Alex is doing right now. It's sitting in the back of his videos. The Schmoedown is getting advertising every time Alex basically has a video where he's on camera. It's a fantastic idea. I'm just saying, do a new division.
I've just thought of an interesting idea. You probably won't know too much because you're not too much into WWE, but WWE has got a belt called the 24/7 belt, in which that whoever's got the belt has someone challenging them wherever they are. I can just imagine that with the Star Wars one. Someone turns up at Alex's house, like, I challenge you for the belt.
One of the competitors lives with him, so that could easily happen. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are other divisions that could do really well, and Harry Potter is certainly one of them. I think Marvel is certainly one of them. DC, there's a huge, a huge DC group in the Schmoedown. If you specialized on DC, you'd be able to get some more of them. You'd be able to reach out to people who are doing like DC All Access, and you might even get a specialty sponsor for that league through like DC All Access. They might be able to say, hey, when you do these matches, we'd be happy to sponsor them.
I mean, yeah, same with the Marvel on that thing. They could always get Disney Plus to sponsor them.
Disney's not sponsoring anybody.
Garth Murray mentioned in the chat that there are more Bond movies in Star Wars, so maybe a Bond league as well. The important Nosio goes Mikey 4 belts.
Pool for a Bond league is about as small as a Star Wars league.
Yeah.
You got Tim Franco. You got Mike Kalinowski. You got
Tim Franco.
I mean, those are the big three. I don't know anyone else who's like huge on Bond that's a current player. I could be wrong. There could be someone out there who's going to sneak in. But those are the three in my mind. It'd be like the same with a Star Trek league. There are only a few people who are that good at Star Trek that are out there. But there are more Star Trek things I could ask about than some other things. But I just think that there's a lot that could be done with some of these other divisions.
Yeah.
Categories, right? But that's just my opinion. That's what I want to see happen, is just the evolution of that fourth belt. Change it into something else. Help Star Wars have a little bit of time to breathe. Maybe after a couple years, once there's a little bit more, they can start pulling from the TV shows. They can throw in a Mandalorian slice. They can throw in an Obi-Wan slice. There'll be a little bit more questions. Everything will have a little bit more time to kind of refigure itself. They could even pull in some questions from like the first couple games of the Star Wars League itself, because it'll have been like 5 years at that point. Like the questions are a little more fresh when you've waited that long. So it's just a thought. It's never going to happen. I think Star Wars is too important to the league itself. It's too important to the showrunners. And there's a lot of fans who are just watching the Star Wars matches and nothing else. So I think it's too important for them to go away entirely. I just don't know that I want to see another season like this where there was just no room for it, which is a shame, because they actually had at Celebration a table full of people who any one of them could have had the belt. And we didn't get to see any of them play again. So it was kind of a disappointment to me, just that we had that happen. But yeah, so that's my thought for next season. It got real serious because it's serious business. We're gonna do our predictions real quick, and then we'll be out. So for this week, I think that this dynamic with Brenda Meyer and Stacey Howard is going to be really interesting. I think I love this potential matchup here. In my brain, it sounds really funny. I have Meyer for the win, but easily Stacey could pull another Howard and do a tournament upset. So on paper, Meyer, but in my brain, I think Howard can take this one. What about you, Malcolm?
I've actually got Howard for the upset here, because I mean my bracket's already broken, and I had Mark Riley coming third into this match anyway, so my bracket's already shot. But yeah, no, like Stacey has big momentum for taking out a strong player like Mark. I think she's can do it again. But and as for Ben versus Paul, this is a lot tougher. But I've got Ben slightly for this, but I think it's going to be a really close match. It's going to go to a 25 question overtime. But yeah,
I'm in the same boat as you. Maybe not the 25 question overtime, but that it will be a close match. The thing about both of these guys, and I don't know when this match was filmed in terms of when they had all these crises happen. Both guys have been going through a lot of stuff. If this was filmed before all this hit, then it shouldn't affect them at all. But if it happened in the midst of this, then I mean, you're really, all that personal stuff can get in the way. Ben had a recent surgery, poor guy. And obviously Paul's wife is going through some really bad health issues. And not Paul. I'm going to do it every time. Like Doug said already, if you haven't supported the campaign for Paul and his wife, there's links everywhere. I mean, you literally can't walk without hitting a link for it, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a great cause. Definitely look into it. But it could impact the way he plays, and that sounds weird to be talking about it like that, but if this is a release for anyone, a fun thing to do like it is for so many of the competitors, it might actually be like something that he needs to take his mind off of everything that's happening, but it also might impact the way that he plays if he's just beyond stressed out, which I can imagine he will be. So Garth says on AMA, Ben was talking about he's in a lot of pain still, which isn't good, but he also just had surgery. So recovery on that takes a long time. And Kalinowski also had surgery, as Garth says in the chat. Garth is, Paul and Garth are the only people in the chat. But it didn't really impact him too much. And so there is a lot of chance for Ben not having issues, but at the same time, I think his surgery was a little more severe. So I don't actually know what surgery he had as opposed to Kalinowski. I know what he had. But I think Ben's is just going to take a little more time to heal up. And I hope he heals up fast. But I think both of these things are going to potentially affect how either of them plays moving on.
They had memory chips inserted into their brain.
It's true. That's what it was.
That's why they're so good.
I don't really know, like I said, when this match was filmed in accordance to when all of us hit. I'm going to give the edge to Bateman. I just think he's been around the block more. If this was, if this all was happening when this match was being filmed, he knows how to play through issues because he's been around the block more. He's been in the game. He knows how to separate himself from the outside world. Not that Paul doesn't because he hosts trivia, but there's a big difference between hosting and, playing trivia. I don't really know because these guys have been really good. They've both been playing about the same level. So this could go either way, but I do give the edge to Bateman. But I do wish the best for both of these guys. I think they're fantastic. I don't know Paul at all personally, but he seems like just a wonderful human being. So, tragedies hit good people, and it just makes me real sad. But it seems like he's got a lot of support, and I love that. I love that the community came behind someone who really deserves it. That's all we got. Let's do plugs. Malcolm, anything? How many shows do you have to plug? And where can we find you?
Too many, but you can find me doing bracketeer shows usually on Sunday, but quite often I just do it whenever I want to within reason. I mean, I'm not going to do it tomorrow because I only just opened up the polls yesterday. but the actors bracket is closing down while the actresses bracket is starting up. So it's getting really interesting. And as I said, the next bracket after the actress one is bands. You can find me hosting Rankum on Sundays. Yesterday I had Chance and Kelsey and Alex from Call to Action on there, talking about non-musician biopics. I almost said magician biopics, but
It would have been wrong.
But yeah, you can also find me all over the place and on Twitter, Letterboxd, Stardust at Melkor.
Awesome. You can find me as always, Smith_K10, the number, not the word, on Twitter, Stardust, Instagram. I don't use Stardust. You can still find me there. I have like a handful of reviews. Like them. I don't know. They don't do anything for me. Oh yeah, and hosting this show. As always, if you have watched an entire episode of the show and gotten to the plugs and you don't know what the show is, I can't help you. I can do nothing for you. Thank you for watching and giving us a view. But yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. We hope that you guys all have a great day. If you haven't gone and liked and commented on all those great Schmoedown matches and been watching all those new live streams on the SEN network, check them out. Everything's great. It's good for the algorithm to give them as many views as possible, as many likes and comments. Other than that, we hope you guys have a good day, a good week. Enjoy that Schmoedown content.